Ugh. Social mirroring. Social mirroring. My lord. It's not even called social mirroring. I'm just dying. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, welcome back to the ModCastPodCast. Whew. So today, we're talking about social mirroring, masking, echolalia, social chameleonism is what I've been referring to it as. Now, what you might have heard is the bird is the word. No, not really. Honestly, I've fumbled. I'm fumbling hard after that little coughing fit. Let me just gather myself really fast, get the motivation to speak proper words back. That cute little Gengar bottle though. EB, there, EB. Cheap as chips, mate. $15. Holds like a litre or more. It's pretty good. Anyway, echolalia. Welcome back to the ModCastPodcast. Sales psychology for success. Psychological salespeople warfare you can use to your advantage in your everyday life, brother. Got to put a bit of oomph into it. Some of these videos are a bit slow and dreary and take a bit of a while to get into the swing of things. But if you understand what I'm trying to say, if you take a heed of my words, if you try to listen, maybe you'll pick up what I'm putting down. It's Men's Mental Health Month. And one of the biggest things people do in social situations they don't want to be a part of is masking. Especially if you're someone on the spectrum soldier, like myself. You may be socially masking every time you get into a situation you're not 100% comfortable with. Now, I wanted to touch base on three little topics that are all very similar to each other. You got echolalia, which is the act, the practice of copying verbiage. It could be a vocal stim. It could be something your brain fixates on. It could be a way you said something like I do. Like I mentioned in my little prelude that I like to put up, little 15-minute preview of the video topic. The little prelude would have touched base on the fact that I've got a type of echolalia where when I say something, and if I say it in the wrong way, you will see me repeat myself. Repeat myself. And it's to make sure, kind of like I'm spell checking the way I said something, or the way I said something was the right tonality. Now, echolalia comes in many shapes and forms. When you're a spectrum soldier, you typically can't speak properly without, like in a lot of ways, you could speak the exact way you're meant to speak on this earth. But if you're someone who has had autism or even ADHD, where you speak too quick, or autism where you slur or you can't talk or you can't communicate properly, especially when you're a young child, echolalia is a skill you use or will pick up on automatically doing where you're copying the way other people say things. So you'll hear something and you'll be like, huh. So they might have said infinite, whereas you were saying infinite. And then you hear someone, they say infinite, and you go, infinite. Or you might hear something like me in my League of Legends video where Fetty Wap came on and he went, yeah, baby. And instantly I couldn't help myself. The minute I heard that, I was like, yeah, baby. It's echolalia. It's mimicking sounds, words, noises we hear. Little kids like to mimic a noise you'll hear all the time. Little autistic kids can be so adorable because they'll hear like a chest on Stardew Valley and you'll hear the chest go, and then like, if you've got the right tonality or pitch and you hear it, you might go just to copy it straight away, and it makes you laugh. Anyway, staying on topic because I'm starting to talk around in circles. Echolalia, the act of copying the tonality, pace, pitch of a noise or sound, or most likely a word that you don't know how to say correctly, so you copy someone else. Now, mirroring and masking. Masking and mirroring kind of fall hand in hand in a lot of ways. Mirroring is seen as a sales trick, but it's actually been something in community-based communication for a really long time. Masking is essentially mirroring in a way that fakes your true feelings, I guess. So, very similar concepts. Masking is more to do with preserving other people's feelings. So it doesn't necessarily mean mimicking someone else or copying their tone or their vibe or whatever. But masking would be more along the lines of, you're in a social situation you're not a massive fan of, but you don't want to let anyone know because you miss your mates. So you've agreed to play a game of League of Legends like I just did, and you fed your butt off, and it made you really salty. But you did it because you miss your friends. You didn't want to say no. So you masked the entire way through. You were like, oh, why not? You pretended to have lots of fun. By the end of social masking, if you do it for a long enough time, if you're in an intense enough situation, say for example, you've got an abusive partner and you're just masking the fact that you're completely fine, or you're masking your way through work because you've had a really stressful, difficult day, and you got to keep pretending. Masking will get you through some really tough times, but if you become someone who masks through every situation and you can't be honest with yourself or those around you, it can become extremely self-destructive and exhausting. So exhausting. You ever had family or friends rock up in your door and you're so just not ready for a visit and you just want to ugh, brother, really? But then you just swap into people-pleasing mode straight away and go, hey, come in. Totally keen for this visit that I just woke up for because I'm definitely in the mood for this today. I feel hungover and I want to have lots of people around me making loud noises. This is great. Fantastic. That's masking. Oh, I feel like crap. I'm sad. Everything's gone wrong in my world. I gotta go to work. I can't wait to go to work today. Hey guys, yeah, happy to be here. Put on my customer service face, you know what I mean? That's masking. Now, mirroring. Mirroring is a term used when you're... And a lot of salespeople are well aware of what mirroring is, but it's more checking the vibe of the room. You know, long before it was taught in sales training, we're naturally doing it as a way to, like, you know, within social bonds. We're doing it as a way to build friendships with people. We're doing it as a way to fit into crowds we're new to. We take into consideration the people around us. We absorb the vibe of the room. And then we start to mirror those who seem the most successful or likable as a part of that audience. So, you know, you may be a really quiet kid, but if you spend enough time around louder people, you'll learn to increase your volume. If you're around a bunch of people that really like to get smashed every weekend, you'll probably end up becoming a part of the crowd. It'll probably be, and you know what? Eventually it'll be ingrained into who you are because you are who you surround yourself with. We are innately social beings. Yes, you could be a recluse, you could be a hermit, but if you're forced to spend time around people enough, you will become more like those people. It's why getting a job, if you're a social outcast and if you don't know how to communicate properly and you don't know how to be friends with people, you don't know how to make connections in life, having a job will actually help you achieve a lot of those social goals because you're forced to interact with people you wouldn't normally interact with. You're forced to adapt. And if you're someone that will actually pay attention to those skills, pay attention to the people around you, you will get way better with interpersonal communication. It's actually really important. It's one of the reasons why people prefer you to get a job, not just so you communicate not just so you contribute to society and blah, 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 blah. It's more to help you build your interpersonal skills because even though they're not something you may be necessarily interested in if you're not socially inclined, they are an important skill to have. Mirroring in the sales world is copying someone's tonality, pace, pitch, the vibe, the way they talk, the way they speak. If they're not a super intelligent person and they're not very articulate, you'll probably bring yourself down to their level. So if they're a small child, that's what they say, you know? They say in child psychology all the time, if you want to try to explain something to a kid, bring yourself down to their level. If you want to show a child that you are not a threat, if you want to make someone feel more comfortable, it's about the body language, it's about reading the room. Like if you're talking to a tradie on the trade side and you're standing there like, yeah, mate, I totally understand what you're saying, you're mirroring them. But if all of a sudden your wife comes up and you go, hey, babe, how are you? You know, you're changing your tonality, your pace, your pitch. You're naturally moving between social norms because you're mirroring those around you. You're matching the energy of the room. Now, mirroring in sales is really good because if you have an old lady come into the room and she's not someone that wants some rough nut sitting across from her with covered in, you know, he's swearing his head off and he's talking like he's just fresh out of the jungle, brother. And he just wants to shoot and fight and run around and punch on and smack a billy. Obviously, she's not going to want to buy anything off you. So, you know, in those instances, you'll probably fall into the role of like the charming grandson. the loving child, the long lost friend or relative that this lonely old lady wants to have around. That's the sales tactic side of it. So, you know, if you've got someone quiet across from you, you can see they want to be more confident. You play on that core motive. You play on the fact that they will feel more confident and comfortable around you if you match their energy or the energy that they feel comfortable around. And you learn to read and learn to feel different aspects of that as you get better and better at the interpersonal communication. So social chameleonism is kind of a mix of all three, because you're going to want to mask when you're really not happy with the situation. You're going to want to mirror when you don't know how to handle it and you want to be able to control the situation better. And ultimately, you're going to want to use things like vocal echolalia to learn and practice and get good at the way you articulate yourself, the way you communicate your message, the way you use your hands to speak, and become a lot more likable, because you can look into the camera and make eye contact and be like, hey, brother, just listen to me. I need you to understand what I'm saying. I need you to hear with your words and your ears and your mouth and your brain, your soul, because my words may not always make sense, but my context, the way I say things, the way I deliver it, is going to do a lot more work for me than the definition of the word. And that sounds really funny, because the other day I said a word in my last video, which was precipice, I think. And that means like harsh fall off or edge of a cliff or something like that. It's like a precipice, like the edge. Whereas I meant to say preface, but a lot of people didn't pick up on that. I actually asked a couple of my mates to have a look and understand, and ask them, like, what does the word precipice mean? He's like, well, in this instance, you're talking about like the subject of the conversation. I was like, no, that actually has nothing to do with anything I was just saying, but because I mixed up my words, but I said it with such authority, tonality, and, confidence, you might have just glazed over it. And you will sound funny if you get words and things wrong, but if you can learn the other attributes of communication, as long as the rest of the message makes sense, you can normally just sort of skirt past it and keep going. So mirroring is the act of increasing your energy. If someone's super happy and hype and they're like, woo, woo, yeah, loud, let's go, baby. You're mirroring the energy of the room. So you go to a footy stadium and you're sitting there quiet. I can guarantee you one of yous has had the mate that goes, hey, cheer on, come on, cheer. Come on, scream. Join in. It's because they want you to mirror the energy of the room. It's a very normal thing. If you're not mirroring the energy around you, it may look like you don't belong. It can make other people uncomfortable, make yourself uncomfortable. Like, who gives it at the end of the day? Like, do what makes you feel good. But it's a skill to learn, because it makes other people think you're having a great time. It makes other people think you know what you're talking about. It makes other people feel comfortable with you. Obviously, be honest with yourself. Use these skills in selective moments that benefit your overall well-being. You don't want to be masking all the time. You don't want to be a people pleaser all the time. You will get exhausted by that fact. It will make you just so tired at the end of every day if you just can't be honest with the people around you. If you're constantly doing things you don't want to do, if you're constantly showing up to things you don't want to show up to, you're going to lose time for yourself. You're going to lose time for the things that are most important to you. You're going to be disappointed in yourself as well, because you haven't been honest. And then you're going to constantly find yourself in situations that you can't get out of, that you wish you could. Because honestly, why are you even there if you don't like it? Why are you even there if you don't enjoy it? And it's one of those things. So for psychological sales success, or sales tricks for psychological success, or success in social aspects of communication, whatever you want to think of it as, mirroring reduces your social uncertainty, which can reduce your social anxiety. If you're able to pick up on other people's, like their body language, their tonality, their pace, their pitch, the way they say things, the way they do things, if you match their energy, it will make them more comfortable to talk to you. Therefore, you make yourself more comfortable in that situation, because you feel like you're less of an unknown to them, and they're less of an unknown to you. Like, you build rapport, you build a relationship. It makes it easier to bond. It's why when kids come home from being a kinder or daycare or whatever, they'll pick up habits you don't like from other kids, because they'll naturally go, well, I'm going to start doing that because that made me laugh and I want to make other people laugh, and now I'm going to run around saying bong, 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 bong all the time, and you're going to be like, oh my God, where did you get this from? I will headbutt you. Like, it is the mix of avoiding treating something like a joke if someone's discussing a topic seriously. It's so you're not being facetious when someone's actually being genuine. It's so that you're not lowering your energy too much so someone thinks you're bored. It's so that you don't accidentally use echolalia in a social situation and suddenly they think you're picking on them or you're bullying them because they said a word funny and you thought it was interesting, so you instantly were like, ugh. Mirroring just helps you adapt to the people you're around. It helps you decode social situations. Like if you're not someone that understands everything about the people you surround yourself with, the more you spend time with them, the more you understand them, the more you become like them, the more you belong, the easier things get. It's why there's so many things out there that rely on the people you surround yourself with. You'll learn more on the job than in training because you'll get more comfortable with the job because you'll be more comfortable with the people you surround yourself with. You'll learn things passively because you'll be enjoying yourself more because you'll be interacting more. Like, there's just so many things. Like, the rule of eye contact. The rule of understanding your tone and pace so that you're always approachable when you discuss something, because the faster you go, the more excited you are, there's a chance it starts to become aggressive, it starts to become a miscommunication, it starts to sound like you have less authority, because if you talk really fast, it can come across as you don't fully want to be in that conversation, or you're nervous, or you don't fully know what you're talking about, so you're trying to go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and then hopefully get out of the conversation quicker. There's lots of things, like for example, mirroring can help you achieve social normalcy, I guess. Make you feel more comfortable with discussing topics you haven't necessarily learned everything about, but if you know how to mirror the people you're talking with, you'll make them feel comfortable to fully explain it to you because they'll think you're actually there for genuine reasons. Masking, again, a fantastic tool to have if you want to make sure you get through a difficult time. But you got to remember that these things all have a time and a place and a way to use them. If you're mirroring everyone all the time around you, you may never make a fully genuine connection and never fully understand yourself. Hence what this guy did. For the first 25, 30 years of his life, I was always just whoever I surrounded myself with. So my very first best friend in school was a very socially awkward duck. So was I. And I never really learned how to socialize outside of him because I felt so comfortable with him. So we were just little best friends. We just sat and played video games together all the time. We laughed at silly things. We drew comics. We watched movies about superheroes and Dragon Ball Z and anime and all that sort of stuff. And, we were very typically nerdy. You can't tell. But we were so comfortable we never wanted to bridge outside of that. And he was awesomely genuine in himself. He never bothered to change. He's off doing some sort of artistry now. He's living his best life. He's loving it. Awesome. Whereas I went the opposite way. I got sick of being a social outcast, so I started learning how to fit into the crowds I was a part of. Like if I was a tradie on a trade site, if I was a salesperson on a sales floor, if I was working in a supplement shop, if I was working in a butcher, I was a different person wherever I went. I'd go to the local internet cafe and I was just instantly charismatic nerd man talking about whatever because I really loved being there, and I'd learnt those interpersonal skills and then brought it to an area or community where, stereotypically, people in those communities have less interpersonal skills because they are made up of more social outcasts because they have hobbies and habits that don't fit into what was originally the social norm. But now, video games and things have obviously become a lot more socially acceptable. Being a nerd's kind of cool because you have people out there that are millionaires that are buying Pokemon cards and things now. So it's a very different landscape, but the skills still remain the same. If you don't know how to get a better pay rise, if you don't know how to get a better promotion, if you don't know how to convince someone to do something because you know it's going to be good for them, if you can't figure out how to, play that one game you really love, but you just can't seem to get better at it, these skills will help you achieve those goals because it'll help you communicate with people better. It'll help you organize things for your goals better. It'll help you work towards your aspirations. It'll help you, you can reach out to your idols and actually be able to hold a conversation instead of screaming your head off because you'll understand the social aspect of calming yourself to get something out of the conversation. It might allow you to communicate better with your teachers if one of them's giving you a really hard time at school. You might be able to actually out-communicate them and say, hey, I'm trying here. I need your assistance to get better, but right now you're not helping me. You're not making it easier on me. You're not making this simpler. You're just making my anxiety worse. And I'm struggling over here. I'm drowning because every time I come into your classroom, you're making me feel like I'm the worst person in the world for not knowing how to do what you're asking me to do. But every time you explain it, my brain puts this dot over here, this line over here, and nothing's making sense to me. So can you please figure out a way to give me more time and figure out a new way to deliver me the message? Because I'm struggling. But instead, you crack it, you throw a chair, you walk out of the classroom, you get upset, and you wag class, and you fail school. And then all of a sudden, you blink, and you can't get a better job than $50,000 a year, and you start to struggle. It all has long-lasting effects, and these things can help you reverse those issues if you're already past that stage in your life. It might help you reach out to your wife, your kids, your son, your cousin, that best friend you've had for a long time, and suddenly you've fallen out, you don't know how to communicate with each other anymore. These skills will help you achieve goals you may not have even thought of achieving. You may not have even thought of how to communicate with your spouse because you've just been bluing flat out for 5 years. Maybe it's time for you to take a step back and think about the overall situation. Think about the tone. Think about the way the body language is. Walk into the room with a bit more substance next time and say, let's have a conversation. Let's put our pride aside. Let's actually understand and communicate again because I love you and I think we need to get through this. And I've had to have that conversation with people that aren't just my partner. I've had to have that conversation with people, with my friends, my family. Like, it's difficult. And these skills are all things I've learned as well from working on those mental health crisis lines, the suicide hotline. Like, you need to be able to mirror and bring people up when they're too low. Like, when they're too far down, you need to find ways to listen to them genuinely without being facetious, without being sarcastic, without making them feel like they don't genuinely feel the way they do or that what they're feeling is invalid. You don't want to make them feel even a shred of that. You want to be able to hear them, genuinely reach out to them, and then try to bring them back up with the power of mirroring, making them focus on a more positive topic, making them get back to the track of what you're trying to sell them, which is a better life, a better way of doing things. The fact that people care about them, you know? So in sales, keeping yourself energetic is going to make someone go, whoa, why did he just talk so quickly? But then if you bring it right down slow again and you match their tone and pace, they're going to realize that you may actually know what you're talking about. If they seem to be getting distracted, you can throw little things in there, like all of a sudden you talk really fast and they'll go, wait, sorry, what was that? And you go, sorry. I get really excited about this product because I think it's fantastic for what we're trying to do. I think that my videos on this channel are an awesome gateway to living a better life, regardless of the life you want to live, because everything I say is going to have some sort of substance you can take to your life and your world, and you can put it into your community and talk to people on a whole new level you didn't even really know existed. You can take control of your game. You can take control of your life, your friendship groups. You can understand and communicate with all walks of life better. You can create good business that promotes its own business, returning customers, friends that will want to only play with you because they feel seen and heard and listened to. And in turn, you will as well because you will be respected. It's just one of those things where if you know how to make someone feel listened to, if you know how to make someone feel safe when they talk to you, you come across more genuine, you come across more ready to learn and to listen, to be a part of their experience, not just tell them how to do things. There's a reason why I make these videos in the way I do. I want it to come across like I'm a friend just chatting to someone. I want it to come across like I'm just talking to you about some sort of thing that you've been dealing with. Because if there's even one person out there that can watch my videos and approach something differently and have a bit of success in their life, that's a legacy, mate. That's a fantastic way to be. That's a fantastic thing to chase. And I love talking about it. It makes me genuinely so happy just to talk about it. It really makes me stay on, what would you call it? Stay on target for the person I want to be. It makes me feel accountable for the things I say. It makes me feel responsible for the message I leave out there because I don't want someone to take these clips or these videos and then go, oh, what a dickhead. Because I've made my mistakes. I've chosen to be the wrong person for too long. I made the mistakes. I've recovered. I've apologized. I've moved on. And it's a great feeling to be able to talk to literally anyone you come across. Be able to smile at literally anyone you want to talk to in the outside world and they don't feel uncomfortable with your presence. They don't feel like you're just going to attack them, or you don't feel like you're just going to hit on them. Like you can be so genuine, even as a guy, because out there we live in a world now where like the average person is going to shy away from you if you come across the wrong way, especially as a bloke. So one of the biggest things for you to do is learn to read the room, learn to read the body language, learn to mirror people, mask your way through the brief moments where you don't feel good, and fake it till you make it. Because if you are trying to just become that one version of yourself, that more confident, happier version, then embrace the weird, wonderful world of communicating differently, but remaining yourself. This has been another episode of the ModCast podcast. It's one of the many that are going to come, because I love talking myself into the ground. But I like sharing what I've learned, because it is hard socializing out there if you don't know how to talk to someone. It's hard getting yourself out there more. It's hard building friendships with people if you don't know what you like about yourself. And that's rough. That is a rough thing to hear, say, feel. It's a rough thing to share to the world. But a teacher who speaks differently to a teenager or a university students, like if they speak differently to teenagers or university students, like what I mean by that is if you're a teacher and you speak to if you speak to a teenager one way and a university student the other way, you're going to be more successful because you can read the room. You can approach people differently. If you talk to a sales manager one way and then a work colleague the next way, that's very natural for you. You've done that before. You talk to your dad one way and your brother another. But if you learn how to communicate with all of these people genuinely as yourself while adapting to their traits to make yourself feel more heard, how could that ever be anything but a good thing? Emotional shifts, tonality shifts, pacing, articulation, the way and how and when you say things are all very important. Allowing someone else to talk. Allowing someone else to feel heard. The very act of repeating something back to someone in a stressful conversation can help in so many ways. And that will be a part of my next video. Tricks of the trade. Sales skills that will help you with every interaction. Complaints management. Crisis management. Difficult, hard to communicate conversations. You might have just found out that someone thinks your partner cheated on you, and you need to approach that from a really hard perspective. You might have just found out that someone thinks your best mate's stealing from you. Shit, you might have just found out that, I don't know, someone's been lying about you for the last 6 months, so you need to figure out exactly where, why, and how. But these are all things that you might not get to the actual truth if you handle the situation poorly. You might be in the middle of a ranked game. You're just trying to tell your jungler to come top lane. But if you approach it wrong, he's just going to feed your lane instead. You might be trying to, I don't know. I can't think of any other examples right now, but you understand the idea. So, psychological safety comes in many forms. Learning ideas to better yourself will improve your anxiety, will improve your ability to communicate with all walks of life. Most importantly, it's sales psychology for success. These are all learning tools. You don't have to use them, but they are ways to make yourself better with communication. They are ways to make yourself better at winning that sales role, better at winning that sales promotion, better at winning in life in general, in all ways. You just got to work your way through it, learn how to do it properly, and you will succeed in whatever you're trying to do. You just stick to your message, stick to the way you want to do things, stick to your morals. Don't overcompensate these situations, because eventually you will become something you're not if you are surrounding yourself with people that you aren't meant to be surrounding yourself with. Mirroring and masking, echolalia, copying people's verbiage, all these things, they're meant to be tools to better yourself. Don't lose yourself in the process. I'll stop waffling on. Thanks again for tuning in to the ModCast podcast. And I appreciate you. So hope you have a fantastic day, week, month, night, morning, year, wherever you are when you listen to this. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you in the next one, because I really love doing this, and I will be doing it for as long as I have the motivation to spread the message. Because my mental health matters, your mental health matters. Being able to communicate in an ecosystem of love, in community, in a cohesive way is important. Being able to hear each other and actually be listened to is important. Being able to work your way through your goals in life is important. And these are all tools that will help you get there. Or it may even help you talk that friend down off the ledge. Welcome to the ModCast Podcast. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!